Hello and welcome to Lorehammer, the 40K podcast where we like to make dick jokes. I'm your host, Mark. We got Christian joining me.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good, very good. You got a dick. James got a dick. Welcome.
Wow. We haven't seen it yet, so we don't know for sure.
Debatable. Okay.
I am the Mister of Battle.
That's why we
usual.
know where you're at.
Misters of Battle.
No. There's only one. There's only one Mister of Battle, and he doesn't share power.
And we also got Paul joining.
Your humble servant.
Yeah, man, our dwarf guy, our squat dwarf guy.
Our dwarf guy.
You know, he's on the last.
I'm 5'4", but you know.
Our dwarf expert.
That's what I meant.
He knows them all.
Yes. He's related.
They're family.
Yeah, today we're talking about leagues of Votann. It's going to be a pretty fun episode. We did an episode last week on them, and we all learned a lot, I'd like to think. I don't know if any of us remembered any of it, but we'll see how much we kind of recall. Before we jump into the show, we just got some quick housekeeping. We got that Warlords of Terra, of Old Terra event. That wrapped up on Discord, and the winner of that was Jax Carnage and his Warlord Armstrong. And he had like this cool nanobot body. I actually battled him in the tournament. He beat me out.
It wasn't even close.
Wasn't even close.
Yeah. Lots of Metal Gear fans, apparently.
Lots of Metal Gear fans. Yeah, essentially that was that guy's lore. And then he also ran this contest and then he won it. So
That's suspicious.
also
That was
suspicious.
sus.
Highly
sus.
suspicious. I don't know how he beat me, but it's rigged. But congratulations to that. He's the warlord of our old Terra deck that we're going to try to make here. So that's kind of cool and exciting. The next little thing we're going to try to get up to here with the Discord community is game show trivia night. I'll give you a quick little rundown. We don't have any serious plans yet. Like, we're in the brainstorming phase. But basically, we want to do a couple teams. And we'll do a cool little game show where people are answering questions and you're battling off against other people. Hey, you answer this one. If you don't, my characters attack you. It's going to be a cool little tabletop trivia night thing that we're working on. And Jax is helping me do that as well.
That's awesome.
If you want to keep up to date with what we're doing in that, you want to enter the contest of the trivia night. We're having 9 Discord members join. So go into like the event text channel. You can message there. You can message me. You can message Jax. But yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. He's coming up with a bunch of cool rules. Like the teams will be able to pick like a faction rule. So if you're playing like the Votann faction, maybe you might get the first letter of the answer because of the ancient ancestor knowledge. You recall some bits, you know?
Yeah.
So we're coming up with some cool rules to make this a fun little
Very
trivia.
thematic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I had for my housekeeping, James.
Cool. The live stream next time we're planning on going up is the 4th. So if you guys join up on Patreon, you can get early access, join the live stream, join the chat. We do accept harassment to interrupt the episode if you are in the live chat. So that's always fun to do. Also, if you want to be part of the episode, most of the time we have someone jump in at the end. So if you're on Patreon, you can do that. Yeah, and if you like, join on YouTube. We put these out at the same time on YouTube as we do on all the other platforms.
Yeah, we
And
got faces on there.
Yeah, and we talk. You can see us. That way you
Sometimes there's a
We're
slideshow.
also moving right now.
you also can like use the videos to piece clues together about where I live. So send me anthrax.
We're going to
or
subtly
something.
dox ourselves.
Yeah.
See you playing chemtrails in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, one other thing, if you guys want, I would love it if you would post comments or reviews on whatever you're watching it on. Helps out the show, makes it so other people can find it. Also, all the negative ones hurt my soul and make me want to cry. So, yeah,
Keep
just
them coming too. I
yeah,
guess.
keep them coming too. I guess. No, don't do that. That hurts. Yeah. So yeah, write a review. We appreciate it. 5 stars if you think we deserve it. 4 if you're realistic.
Nothing below 3. Though. We won't
Come on,
accept it.
I
We
know
will return it.
I know the quality. It's definitely not a 2. Okay.
All right, sweet. And then finally, we just have our Patreon. So please help support the show. Some exciting news is we have another father joining our group, and he needs to feed that baby.
Yeah, I had a baby this week, a tiny little girl, and she's so precious. So now, you know, Christian's got a whole flock of them. James got a couple and one on the way. Paul's got one too.
Yeah.
Those babies.
You know, we
need to be
got-
fed.
They got to be fed.
We got
The
families
milk
to
is
feed.
Good, but eventually they got to get off it. They got to get weaned. I
Yeah.
got to get my titties back. You know.
Before we go on,
Gross.
we need to buy diapers and groceries. So help support the show, help support us, help us feed our families. And the other thing is Discord. If you guys want to join Discord, join there. There's always a bumping good time. If it's models you're looking into or events or whatever else, Discord is very active all the time. So jump on there. And then if you, join the Patreon, and you can get access to the episodes too, live, and you can join.
Yeah.
You can call in or join the chat. So no reason not to do it.
No,
If you're with us this far, 110 episodes in, I think we've earned $1.
at least one.
At least $1 per episode. $110.
Chat's lining up with Dad Hammer, and congratulations. Just a little thing on Dad Hammer. We're recording one after this episode too, so stay tuned. And it will be the last one. The Dad Hammer episodes are almost out. This will be the 5th episode of the series, of the season, I guess we're gonna do. And then they'll be coming out pretty quick.
Yeah, and give us some feedback about whether you like them or not, so that we know if is this something you actually appreciate, so we know to do some more if you like it.
And I just had my kid. I'm not around kids very often. I tried to write them for a 10-year-old maybe, but maybe I was hanging out with my nephew today, and maybe that's a bit old. Maybe it's more like a 7-year-old. So maybe reach out and tell how old, what do you think this is actually rated for? It'd be interesting.
We try to keep the swearing to a minimum. So.
Only when it's really necessary. Set the tone and the scene.
And the gore and the
No, but they're a lot of fun. So we'll keep going at that, and I think we're ready to jump into the episode. Leagues of Votann. Let's do a quick little recap about our short little boys. The Leagues of Votann are interesting because it's kind of two very different things. You got the league, or the squats, or the abhumans, the actual physical clone manifestation of the race, but then you also have the Votann, which are the AI machines that kind of run and control everything. So it's always interesting, when this faction first came out, Leagues of Votann, I thought Votann was
the name of the species.
The species, but no, it's the AI. So lots of cool stuff. And today in our episode, we're going to be learning about the truths of the Votann. The AI has all these different things that it is telling you, and it has some that are actually everyone agrees that are right. And then we're also talking about society and just how kind of
their culture and how they
operate,
develop.
all that kind of cool stuff. So.
Cool.
Did you guys like anything specific about that last episode that you kind of took away?
I just like that we're delving into this. Like we mentioned on the last episode, if you're just joining us now, this is new to me. I'm used to knowing Warhammer because I've been in it for so long, but I haven't researched anything with the Votann until we started deep diving into it. So I'm excited to learn just as much as anyone else right now. So
I personally liked the way that the AI being fed by everyone. As the evolves, as people die, they get fed back into the AI, and that could change how
the whisper.
Exactly. So I think that was my favorite aspect of that, just the cyclical nature of their AI.
Yeah. Cool. All of you learn much about them?
It's refreshing to have kind of a new race that GW spat out.
Yeah.
Right?
Spat out is a great.
Whatever.
They pop out of holes in the ground.
Holes in the ground. And it kind of, when I first thought, when they first released the Leagues of Votann, I thought just it was going to be your classic space dwarves from, the Lord of the Rings, right? But space and sci-fi. And the
Which is what I
idea,
wanted.
adding the Votann as an AI, right? Adding a whole new spin on the dwarf genre.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. It was different.
Do you actually have Votann models, Paul?
No, but
Not yet.
Not yet.
Subscribe
This
to the
channel gets
Patreon.
bigger. The Patreon.
Help Paul get
the
some Votann.
models. They are pretty cool.
Yeah.
The one cool thing that's different too is so they have the AI, but it's so different. We're kind of talking about how it seems like it's a benevolent AI. Normally when you write about AI, it goes horribly awry. And even in 40K, we had the Age of Strife and the Men of Iron and Men of Gold, all those kind of things that happened. The Votann have managed to actually make it benevolent, friendly.
Maybe.
And,
Well-
and that makes me uneasy because this isn't Fluffhammer, right? This is the grim, dark universe,
Yeah.
right? So there's got to be something wrong with that AI. Maybe a codex from now. I don't know.
I think they will have, not to get too far down the rabbit hole that we're going on, but they will eventually, I think, flush them out a little more. There's only so much that you're going to get when you just get a codex, and it's okay, here's the highlights of kind of
But
who
even
they
then,
are.
they put out a lot of information on these guys. They really did. Yeah, let's jump into it. The Leagues of Votann, Truce and Society. We're going to start off with the Truce. The kin are a people steeped in a weight of their past, bound by traditions as unyielding as the rock they mine from the galactic core. Their society is one of fierce conservatism, where certain truisms, known as simply as the Truce, form the bedrock of their culture. These truths are more than just sayings, they are pillars of wisdom, woven with layers of meaning that only the kin fully understand. Outsiders might hear them and assume that they are blunt or straightforward, but to the kin, the truths carry the gravity of countless generations, filled with the subtlety and depth that only their shared history can unlock. Foremost among these is the phrase, "the ancestors are watching." It is not just a battle cry that reverberates through the halls of their starships or the tunnels of their holds. It is a solemn reminder. The kin believe their ancestors observe their every action, measuring them against the legacy of those who came before. Every kin, from the smallest child to the mightiest hearthguard, feels this unrelenting gaze of their forebearers and the silent eternal judgment. To fail this is to dishonor the dead, to disappoint those who carve out the survival of their species in the most hostile corners of the galaxy. But there is comfort in this truth too. The ancestors are not just judges, they are ever present, living on within the blood and bones of the kin. Each new generation carries the essence of the ancestors, standing beside them in spirit, though every trial, every victory, and every death.
Yeah, and that it's not just like a metaphor for them. Like, as you said, just in our little opening there, they do come back into the
AI.
machine,
Yeah.
so that they're present with them. Maybe not in like a personal sense, like you don't have an individual, but it's almost like a hive mind made up of all of their ancestors.
Ancestors, plural. Like everyone is watching you.
That's a fun saying too. The ancestors are watching. It's just like even now, we're all being watched. We all got Google Homes in.
The Google is watching you.
Yeah, exactly. So like when they're saying that, they are probably actually being watched by these Votann things. Like
the AI is literally like tracking.
I wonder too. Okay, so this is just a slight rabbit trail again, but you know how like a lot of people conceptualize the way our minds work is we don't necessarily have one personality in us. We're like the conglomeration of multiple smaller personalities that like come up and down. Have you ever seen that movie where it's all the emotions for kids? And I forget what it's called. Inside Out. Yeah, that's it. And the idea is that they're like you're made up of multiple mini personalities. I wonder if like
have you talked to a psychologist?
I wonder if like if the AI becomes like just an amalgamation instead of like all different personalities inside of it. I wonder if then it would just become like more of a generic average of them all instead of like a fully fledged person. It just becomes like if you were to poll what is the average favorite food on earth, it'd probably be something super generic. There'd never be anyone who'd have
it's gonna be rice.
Yeah. but that's what I mean is like it'll just be what's the average of everyone and it'll be that thing. And no one will have anything interesting or like there won't be like
no
so maybe
radical
that would it's just that's why it limit itself to a very like generic average
narrow
things for every little detail. I wonder if that's how that would work.
It's kind of cool. Yeah, the more you put into it, you just can't really pull out those distinct things anymore. You know?
Yeah, you can't be a unique, or it doesn't get unique, or
that would be in line with kind of like that conservative nature too, where like they're not radical, the things don't change very often or much because it's exactly that average, right?
Yeah, the averageness. Oh, that's what, dude. That aspect of them just gives so much detail.
The averageness really calls to you, does it?
I'm an average guy.
Try to be average. Other truths follow the same pattern, seemingly simple, but rich with layers of significance. To dismiss something as a prize for an orc is to condemn it as worthless, to mock it as crude, brutish thing. It reflects not only their disdain for the orc menace, but also the pride the kin take in their own craftsmanship and wisdom. Only fools chase what the kin would scoff at. There's a saying, the void is in our veins, a reflection of their ancient mastery of spacefaring. There is no idle boasting. The kin are born of the stars, their entire society shaped by the harsh realities of life amidst the cosmic phenomenon that would obliterate lesser races. Their blood carries the void's chill. Their bones are tempered by its radiation, and their hearts beat in rhythm with the pulsing hum of starship engines. For them, the void is not an empty expanse, but a living force, part of their very being. These are the everyday truths of the kin, but they are also the first truths, those sacred and immutable beliefs that underpin the entire existence. The kin know they have always been a clone society, their origins lost to the distant past, but anchored in the certainty that their ancestors, those first ancestors, engineered them for survival in the galactic core. Every kin born of the Crucible carries this truth in their very genes. It is not questioned, for it is as much as part of them as the stars themselves. That's very cool. Like they actually like code these, like they code information into them.
I mean, that is literally what genes are.
Sure, yeah, and like we have so much information that we have just coming into this world when you're born. Like, yeah.
I wonder, just as a comment on like the nature that their origin is mysterious. I wonder if that's necessary for any culture to emerge. Is that their origins have to stop at a certain point? Like if you can't define yourself as a people until you find the end of where your recorded history is. And if you I don't know, keep going back further than that, it starts to muddle who you are as a people. If you get an origin that, like, I don't know, it happened in this year and this is who we are, but maybe it loses some meaning. But if you have like, our origins are in the mysterious past, that's when our culture really began. And it's something intangible, and that's what makes you who you are. Is almost that mystery.
It's like
of
a
your
national
origin.
mythos kind of thing.
Well, yeah, but it can't be definite. It can't be like, oh, it happened on this date.
Say that to the 4th of July, my guy.
So somebody comments. So when they take the genes to make new Votann, are they gene stealers? That's a hole in the plot. To outsiders, the truth may seem simplistic or cryptic, but to the kin, they are wisdom of the millennia, passed down from the ancestors themselves. They are the words by which the kin live, fight, and die, and they will hold these truths until the stars burn out, or until the last kin draws their final breath.
All right. Notable truths. The truths of the kin are woven deeply into the fabric of their society, acting as guiding principles that define their actions, values, and traditions. These sayings reflect the kin's practical, conservative mindset, and each expression carries layers of meaning that resonate with the cultural identity. Below are some of the notable truths. Quote, sailing to far space. This expression warns against actions or strategies that appear reckless or ill-advised. The term, quote, far space refers to regions beyond the primary League territories in the galactic core, areas that are considered dangerous and best avoided unless absolutely necessary. So it's like saying like far out there, crazy. Like
when we go through all these titles, they're very cool because they're not full sentences or like, you know, I was raised Christian, so I think of like the 10 Commandments. And it's like thou shalt not kill, full sentence. With this, it's like a snippet of a phrase, you know.
Almost like an idiom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
rock and stone.
The rock and stone. Yeah. Duck and cover. Duck and cover, brother.
Quote, sailing to, oh, sorry, I did that one already. Quote, the hearth burns. Drawing from the importance of the hearth, the vital energy source at the heart of every kinhold, this phrase describes someone who is passionately motivated or filled with relentless determination. It may also be used to suggest that a person is driven by intense anger or fervor.
Yeah, I love the idea. That's such a... Every culture has a set of idioms, just like phrases that define how you communicate to each other, that are rooted in your origins and what you do, and don't make sense literally.
Yeah.
And so the idea that they'd have these, I love that. It gives them so much more depth. Like they exist as a living people that discuss and use language in their own way.
I found, like, as someone who's actually like Mexican and Canadian, like there are phrases in Spanish that don't make sense without like understanding the cultural significance of what they're saying. So like if you word for word translate into English, it makes zero sense in English. But like without that like social understanding, right? So yeah, that's 100% true. And I'm sure for every other language it's true. And in English, like, yeah, someone who's not a native English speaker, when they hear you say that, they're like, what the heck?
Yeah, like
what are you
raining
saying?
Cats and dogs.
Yeah, like that makes no sense.
Or pushing up daisies.
Yeah.
Those
Unless
phrases.
you explain the whole like literary, like where it comes from.
Little kids are funny nowadays because they're just walking around watching YouTube and they're saying words like murked. And they're just saying all this fucking slang terms from the internet, and they're like little 7-year-olds. It's so funny. It's not good for that. I'm culture.
Yeah, my daughter uses it, and she doesn't even understand where it comes from. Like I've seen the language develop, and I'm like, yeah, I know the origins, but they're using it because all their friends at school use it. And I'm like, you don't even know what that
Little
means. Stop
idiots.
talking.
They're cute. We love them.
All right, next phrase. Quote, it's kin. This expression is used to signify that something belongs to the kin, and by extension, it is durable, dependable, and made to last. It reflects the kin's pride in their craftsmanship and the reliability of their technology and creations. Quote,
Just pride that one. That one's cool. Like
Yeah.
that's a pretty dwarven thing in general.
dwarven
so
trait,
it's
yeah.
Cool that they toss that one in.
quote, as true as wrought. Wrought as in like, I guess if you're listening to this, you don't know, like, what is like wrought iron, not wrought as an R-O-T. This truth is invoked to describe something unquestionably factual or undeniable. To challenge anything, quote, as true as wrought is seen as disrespectful or ignorant. It can apply to oaths, battle plans, or wisdom derived from the revered Votann. Quote, the ancestors are watching, a versatile expression that serves as both a call to honor and to the legacy of the ancestors and reassurance that the ancestors are always with the kin. It can be used as a battle cry, a warning, or a blessing, reminding the kin to live up to the standards set by their forebears. That's cool that it has multiple meanings too. There are some English phrases like that too, where it's like, depending how it's said, the F word is actually very good for that, of having multiple meanings depending how it's being used. Quote, the void is in our veins, a declaration of the kin's deep connection to space travel. The phrase underscores the history and starfarers' and unmatched skill in navigating the void. It speaks to their mastery of space and their familiarity with the dangers of the stars.
I like that they look at this as like almost like a living, breathing creature, the void, almost. Like it's not, but that's kind of like the mindset they
it's almost it's almost like when people kind of like anthropomorphize like nature, right?
Or the ocean, as if you're a sailor, you'd talk about the ocean as
she's a cruel mistress, right? Like you're not literally saying that the ocean's alive, unless you're who's the emperor who declared war on Poseidon?
Xerxes?
No.
Darius?
No. It was a Roman emperor. Yeah.
Oh.
One of the crazy ones, of which there are many. Anyways,
I remember the one whipping the ocean.
Yeah, Xerxes did that too, actually. Yeah, he was pissed when the storm wiped out his fleet.
Caligula.
Okay, yeah. And then Caligula declared war on Poseidon, had legionnaires like throwing spears into the ocean.
Dude, maybe
take that.
Maybe he wasn't crazy. Maybe just like he's like to his buddy, yo,
do you think they'll do it?
Do you think they'll
listen to COVID? I mean,
do you think if like I made up my horse a senator, do you think they
do it?
Do you think they do it?
He's just like a frat boy.
All those Roman frat houses.
That's why. Oh my gosh, it's gone full circle. All right. Next phrase. Quote, luck has, need keeps, toil earns. This expression emphasizes the kin's belief that hard work and necessity justify possession. It implies that those who labor the hardest and need something the most have the right to keep it, regardless of the loss to others. It is closely related to another truth, quote, by merit of need.
Luck has, need keeps, toil earns.
That's interesting.
Lesson.
Take it with you, Mark.
Yeah.
Use it.
It sounds communism to me.
If you have something, you're lucky because you don't always have something, man.
Yeah. You're born into it with the luck has, need keeps, and toil you can earn it. Does sound communist, doesn't it? I recant my statement. Mark, take it back.
Ignore it. Forget it right now.
Right now. Quote, waste feeds the void. Reflecting the hostile nature of space, this phrase personifies the void as a ravenous entity. It is a warning against wastefulness, negligence, or laziness, suggesting that such behaviors will lead to ruin. The truth can be applied broadly from the misuse of resources to failing in essential duties. And yeah, we talked about that, how like the Votann's like culture is built around like efficiency, right? Like that's cool. Like if you know anything about like even modern spacefaring construction and stuff, like today, everything has to be super efficient. There's not a lot of wiggle room to play with, right?
You
like
can take a lot up there with you when you go.
Yeah, exactly. So. It's just the bare minimum, and how much can we stuff into, what materials are we using, right? Like how much food can we carry? That determines what your crew is, your crew capacity and stuff. So it's cool that that's like an ethos that's defined their entire society.
Mm-hmm.
These truths embody the core principles that guide the kin in both their daily lives and in times of war, illustrating their deep connection to their history, their technology, and the hostile environments that they thrive in.
The truths are I find those phrases very fun. They
Yeah.
give them a lot of character.
Very fun.
It gives, like, I guess the Imperium kind of has some too, like the idea of like maybe the Emperor protects is kind of one of those kind of lines that, like,
I love the imperial phrases more.
yeah, they're
An open mind is a
Xenos.
fortress.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
yeah.
I think my favorite one of all of them, I think, was probably Waste Feeds the Void. I just like that concept that they're battling the void, and it's like this entity essentially.
Yeah, because their main enemy isn't chaos. Their main enemy isn't really Xenos or
They
orcs
have no
even.
homeworld that is going to get invaded that they have to protect. You know,
Survival is the name of their game.
Yeah,
and
they're just
space is their biggest enemy.
Getting resources. Yeah. All right, so let's talk a little bit about their society. Traditionalist as they are, the kin hold true to a core societal structure and have ideals that no matter which kindred or league they belong to, they kind of follow and stick to. The kindreds, the guilds, and the leagues of Votann form the foundations upon which the kin build their society, and also the venerable institutions whose survival they fight to ensure. There are 4 pillars for the kindred. The bond of a kindred is one forged in the very essence of the kin's being, a connection shared by both flesh and machine, kin and iron kin alike, whether they dwell in the depths of their home worlds or traverse the or traverse the stars as warriors, merchants, miners, or the fearless Hernkin rangers. The unity runs deeper than mere words, a shared genetic resonance that binds them together in thought and action. To outsiders, it may seem like an unspoken form of telepathy, but to the kin is a truth as old as the stars they roam. So yeah, I get basically like these are just like their core values, and the first one is just, I don't know, I guess is like truth. Is that kind of, or saying what you mean, or like holding to your word?
Yeah, like the saying, what is it? It's sorry to scroll. As true as rot. That is one of their truths where it's like you can take this. So yeah, they value truth for sure. Like, and while they don't necessarily have the full truth of their history and whatever, like you don't necessarily need it, but they still value it.
And then their unity, like kin and iron, you have to include the iron kin because they're equals in their society, but kin and iron kin are like, no matter what, like you said, league or guild or whatever, they all seem to hold this unity amongst them in terms of core values and
it's
beliefs.
Like an ethnic, because like there's different factions, but it's almost like their ethnic ideal, like their ethnic culture.
Yeah, exactly. No matter where you run into them, like if they were Swedish, let's say, like a Swede here in Canada or a Swede in like England will have the same Swedish values.
Or if they were different political party kind of thing, that kind of
I don't think this would really fall under religious, these truths and stuff. Like I don't think they're too conservative and pragmatic to kind of.
That's why I said ethnic. I think it's more like an ethnic background. Like if you have like an ethnic, I'm trying to think of what a good example would be. Like if you have something that's stereotypically your culture, you're kind of gonna have that no matter where you go. Like let's say something in my ethnic background, it'd be like, okay, the English gentleman, he's like an English gentleman in the English countryside, but he's also he's a gentleman when he's going on safari, or like there's like that element of like, I'm gonna drink my tea and I'm gonna use my my manners in this specific way no matter where I am in the world, kind
Even
of
if
thing.
I'm out in the wild.
Or the generic, like Canadians are always polite no matter, right? Like even though they're not. And they commit more than their fair share.
Yeah, that was like crimes. A Canadian thing from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Get out of here with your old stuff. All right. Every kindred bears a name chosen at its founding, a title steeped in history and significance. Some, like Scalif's kindred, the kindred of Nahurun, or Vaikat's kin, are named in the honor of the ancestors who shaped their lineage. Others take their names from the defining traits of their hold worlds, such as the kindred of Echodark, the Thousand Stars kindred, or the Iron Canyon kindred. Then there are those whose names appear almost jarringly simple, like Kindred 6 or Kindred 11D, while others bear monikers that speak of their very nature, the Star Delver kindred, or the kindred of Orc Slayers. Occasionally, these names or naming conventions intermingle, producing names like Yehot's Black Pillars kindred or the kindred Stoic Night Gulf. Their significance hidden within layers of ancestral pride and cultural lore.
That just gives a lot of flexibility to you as a player. If you're going to name your kindred, you can be as basic as Sigma 6 or
2.
kindred number 2.
Yeah, or you could go cool
Number
and get, like, a
2.
cool title like
exactly.
Soul Slayer.
Right,
or
exactly.
whatever,
Yeah.
It seems like it has to have kin or kindred
In it.
with
Well,
it.
if they are a
It has
kindred,
to-
yeah.
Yeah, contain it.
At the heart of every kindred lie the 4 pillars, the core elements that define their strength and purpose. The first is the hearth, the primal fire that burns at the heart of their hold, a symbol of survival and unity. In ancient days, it was the blazing reactor aboard generation ships that carried the kin through the void, and now it fuels the light, warmth, and defenses of their worlds. It is said that their fire of the hearth burns within each kin, only extinguished when the last of the kindred falls.
Man, I just want to start a cult that worships nuclear reactors.
I'm in.
I love it.
Yeah.
The second pillar is the forge, where the Brookir, masters of craft and industry, work tirelessly to produce the weapons, tools, vehicles, and technologies that keep the kindred alive and thriving. In planet-bound holds, the forge might be an immense industrial complex, while in the void it might be a colossal factory vessel, an asteroid hollowed out and converted into a workshop, or a grav-anchored station, ever bustling with the fire of creation.
You know what's kind of, maybe this might not be true. We'll see as we learn more, but like just reading that, it feels like they're very much still making new things, making different things. They're not just like the Imperium is running on their STC technology and nothing new is coming out of them, or should be anyways, looking at you Primaris. But yeah, like these guys, it seems like they are doing like a bunch of different things, whether they're turning asteroids into ships, like they're just do whatever they want, I think. Like I don't think it's very structured in that way.
Yeah, I think the Votann, since we talked last time about how they're not as susceptible to chaos, they don't have to worry about like new things to mankind is dangerous because it might get chaos tainted. It might be a weird chaos infiltration that they have to worry about,
or
so
AI remnant.
Yeah,
or...
there's new things are dangerous for humanity, and I think it's mostly around chaos. Whereas the Votann, they can they don't have to worry about chaos as much, so this isn't an issue. They can try new stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I'd interpreted that
Yeah.
anyway. The third pillar is the Fane, a sacred place overseen by the living ancestors. Here, the Grimnar commune with the ancient machine intelligences of the Votann, drawing forth their wisdom and guidance. The Fane is the heart of a kindred spiritual life, a place where the past and future meet in the timeless council of the ancestors. The final pillar is the Hodge.
Switch religions real quick.
I can't answer. The final pillar is the Crucible, the source of the kindred's continued existence. Here, within the ancient devices of cloning and artificial wombs, new generations of kin are born, their genetic legacy safeguarded by the oath-sworn protectors of the Imvir. The Crucible ensures that the flame of the kindred will never dim, no matter the trials they face.
So they basically, the 4 pillars, they almost got like family is the first one. That's like hearth, that's kin. Then the next one is like building things. Then you got like your spiritual pillar. And then the last one was like
the next generation.
Yeah, the future.
Yeah.
Cool.
A lot of this kind of reminds me too of like Mandalorian culture in Star Wars, how it's like really fleshed out. And like they have these like, family pillars and like cultural values that I guess a lot of other like fictional cultures don't have. Like people just, when they're fiction building, don't necessarily invest those things in them.
Sure.
Or they're assumed based on like whatever that person's like, these are knights, they follow knightly codes.
The aesthetic.
Right, exactly. But they don't actually delve into like, they actually believe this and this is why they believe it and this is what they value as a culture and a people. Which is really cool.
Yeah, you're like Mark, you were saying that they really wrote out in depth the Votann, and they really did. They're quite detailed.
Yeah, considering it's like 1 codex we got or something like that. Like very nice.
Yeah.
At the center of kindred governance lies the Spekarund.
I don't speak
whatever that. Spekarund. A vast spherical chamber within the primary hold. It is here that the Hearthspake gathers, a council of guildmasters, military officers, and wise Grimnar, all dedicated to the well-being of their kindred. Despite the familial bond shared by these genetically linked individuals, the Hearthspake is a place of fierce debate. The kin are nothing if not stubborn, each convinced of their own path, each slow to change their mind. That's kind of culturally conservative in like a lot of different ways. They're just like, we're doing what we did, and I don't really want to change.
Yeah.
And I did it this way, and that's the right way. And with their debates, which may stretch on for days, echoing through the Spackarund, the kin are always mindful of one unassailable fact: the ancestors are watching. Though voices may be raised and opinions clash, the Hearthspake is free from the deceit and selfish maneuvering that plague the councils of other species. The kin may be hard-headed, but they are earnest in their intentions, striving to lead kindred with honor and wisdom, ever conscious of the judgment of those who came before them.
Man, these guys might take the title for the good boys of the galaxy. They might beat out Tau. Like, you know, even their leaders get along. They're kind of working in harmony. Yeah, they get into some arguments, but at the end of the day,
Yeah,
it's all about the kin to them still.
I think honestly, if you were to just go by what is written, they probably would beat out the Tau even more, because they're
At
like,
least Tau like to genocide planets if you don't join them.
yeah.
We haven't read that yet here. You know, it's all like, we like to build things and we like family.
Yeah, that was like one of my criticisms going into the last episode, was that it does feel like there's just a little bit too much going on. Well, like that, yeah, we have AI and it just, we're all equal and it's fine and there's no problems, and we have all these different factions and they get like, it's just a little too nicey nice. But maybe that's just why they're also not ever going to be a galactic player. They're always going to be kind of mercenaries running around, and they don't have to deal with the problems that everyone else has to deal with.
Yeah, and even like we were saying, they're fleet based. So like, you know, what does that mean for them on the galactic plane? Like,
they don't really matter.
Planets really? Like, if there's a really good world there with a bunch of rich resources and somebody's already there, are they really going to invade that planet to try to get those resources?
Yes.
Or will they just go to the asteroid belt over though?
It
Yeah,
seems so like
it's
a
like-
passive, right? Like a
because that's the
passive
thing,
player of
like,
the galaxy.
Relative to
know,
other factions
here-
of 40K, yeah.
Here's what the rule is: waste feeds the void. And what's a bigger waste than war? Very few things are.
That's good.
So like, you know, they're not going to waste a bunch of stuff to go try to take that planet in my mind, because that just is feeding the
I kind of
void.
agree with you. They'd rather like, oh, if we're going to do combat, we're going to get paid for it. Or we're going to like they don't have, they're coming out of the galactic core to get resources. They're not waging wars. They're like, we're hunting Tyranids, or we're going to
Another
take
thing is
contracts,
like
or
explorers. You know, some people like exploring, so
Yeah.
maybe that's what they're not.
Or maybe they'll
conquerors,
try
they're
and settle,
explorers.
or like send merchants and negotiators that settle them and be like, hey, how can we access these resources? What would you want to trade? Or what's the easiest way of doing this?
Yeah, like that seems like the way
Yeah.
better approach than war.
Now, that being said, I would think that war can be an option if they do a calculus and they're like, there are enough resources on that planet that it's worth taking.
or if they're not powerful enough to stop us, really,
Yeah.
then they're gonna
Like
they're
a Viking raid.
Corner and they have no
Don't
other
talk
choice.
yeah, they can't
Last
make it to the
resort.
next asteroid belt. or
Yeah, so like,
whatever.
we need this, or sorry, you're gonna die.
Jax with deep rock diplomacy.
I like it.
I like that a lot.
Let's talk about guilds. So, the guilds in kin society are like veins of precious ore running deep through the bedrock of their existence. These civilian organizations unite the kin who share a common craft, trade, or service within their region of space. To outsiders, they may appear as simple trade bodies, but within the kin, they are far more pillars of structure and stability. Each guild is overseen by a cadre of guild masters, whose role is to set the standards for accreditation, dictate the quality of workmanship expected, and levy tithes for their members. The most prominent among them hold places on the governing hearthspake of their kindred, giving voice to the civilian kin they represent and ensuring the survival of their industries.
I like that they're accrediting themselves.
Well, okay,
And the diplomas.
that's a weird thing to me as well, though, because they're all genetically programmed to do the job that they get. So like, what would there be standards? What would that mean? They're all like genetically programmed to do their job. How are they doing a bad job?
Yeah,
Maybe it's like a faulty clone, right? So you have to have like there's a certain bar, right? And you gotta manage.
What do you
it,
do with the
check it off.
What do you do with the faulty clone?
You
then?
liquidate them. Waste meat. Suddenly, these
Wait,
friendly
yeah.
dwarves are
Space toilets.
feeling a little eugenic-y.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it helps that they're just tiny little bodies.
Oh my
In theory, the guild exists apart from the traditional loyalties of the kindred, serving as neutral bodies that uphold fair competition across kin space. They are meant to maintain balance, ensure no kindred political affiliations sway the scales of commerce. In practice, the smaller guilds seldom extend their influence beyond the boundaries of a single hold or kindred. Moreover, joining a guild is voluntary, a step not all kin choose to take. Those without guild membership are known as freelancers, often viewed with disdain by guild members who see them as lacking in discipline and commitment to the collective. Freelancers, in turn, regard the guildsmen as rigid and hidebound and trapped in ancient traditions that stifle innovation. I assume these guys are probably like the sellswords and like the mercenaries.
Or like just free engineers.
Just
who are
contractors.
They don't want to have their IPs monopolized by big corporations. This is like
My
the
big guild.
exactly.
Big
This is like the libertarians versus like the corpocracy, right? Like
The Amazon
big,
kinsmen.
right? Exactly. Disney kinsmen, and then you have like
Kinsmen of the mouse.
yeah.
Where guilds do grow larger, spanning multiple kindreds, competition can become fierce. Rivalries run deep, and the ambition of these guilds often spill into open conflict. Entire star systems have become battlegrounds as competing guilds sponsor oath-band expeditions that claim resource-rich worlds. Civilizations caught in the crossfire are seen as mere obstacles, with little regard given to the indigenous people inhabiting these contested planets. The kin care only about outpacing their rivals, even if it means the devastation of alien cultures and worlds.
Yeah, so kind of going back to what we were saying, but like path of least resistance, unless there's something to be gained,
Yeah.
right? Because they do need an excuse. Like we are playing a war game. This is not Settlers of Catan, Settlers of Votann. Yeah, exactly. So if their calculations are like, okay, we got competitors, is it worth taking in combat? What's the casualty ratio going to be? Yes, no, maybe. Maybe it's easier to trade. Maybe it's easier to work as mercenaries, whatever.
It is interesting that like even in their culture of survival, right, and tradition and their conservativeness, they still will go on like these like war paths or fight against each other and have these cold rivalries, and it almost seems like they maybe disregard that stuff or put it on hold to deal with it. Yeah.
Stars. I love the sovereign citizen leagues of Votann. That's a good comment.
Yet, despite their internal conflicts and rivalries, the guilds are the lifeblood of kin society. Without them, trade between kindreds would be fraught with inefficiency, and the administration of the leagues would falter. The guilds ensure the seamless functioning of every aspect of kin life, from the mining of starborn metals and gravitic fracking of asteroids.
The classic gravitic fields.
I like the gravitic in the dark.
Gravitic fracking of asteroids, to the construction of homes, the repair of voidcraft, and the supply chain that feed their war machines. Even the food and drink that sustains the kin flows smoother thanks to the guild's relentless pursuit of excellence and competition. In the end, though they may battle one another, the guilds remain indispensable, ensuring that kin society thrives amidst the stars, bound by the ancient traditions and driven by their unyielding need for mastery. So I guess that kind of answered my question previously. Conflict is necessary.
It's cool too. I keep getting like thoughts, like flashes in my mind as I'm listening to this of like these like Victorian era like industrialists too, where like just like no regard for. I'm trying to grimdark it up in my head, right? Like just no regard for anything, just like I have to get the resources.
Yeah, and they'll like pollute what are those paradise worlds?
Yeah,
just to like, there was some resources underneath
we
the surface.
extracted,
and so they just like
devastate the planet,
destroyed the whole thing without any care, because like they don't care.
Yeah, or like the age of sail, right? With you have like massive empires just resource extracting from like their colonies, like conquistadors, like invading, like Second Empire, like we're just here for the gold, like screw all the people that live here.
Because they're not coming to colonize the world. Right?
Yeah, they're not looking
want
to settle there.
down,
They're just looking to
right?
take the
Yeah,
resources and
they're
move on.
locusts.
Right?
Yeah.
Get the shell, the husk of the
Yeah.
all yours.
Yeah, we don't need that. You can keep that.
The next thing we'll talk about, next organizational unit, is the leagues. The formation of the first leagues of Votann was born from a necessity, a response to the weighty response of safeguarding the ancestor cores, the Votann themselves. In the early days, these leagues were not sprawling nations, but military alliances forged in the fires of protection. The kindreds in a direct possession of the sacred cores banded together, their strength pooled to ensure their preservation of the Votann. This union grew naturally from the long march, the ancient fleets of the mining vessels that sealed the galactic core with their colonies, or seeded the galactic core with their colonies. Over time, these leagues evolved from simple coalitions into star-spanning powers, vast in size and bound by shared culture and duty. Each league carries with it an ancient heraldry and symbols of one of the human Long March fleets, the founding fleets that first delved into the stars. These colors and logos are more than mere decorations. They are sacred emblems of their origin, an unbroken link to the first days of kin expansion. Every kindred within a league has the right to display these symbols, though they do so with reverence that speaks of the weight of the history, ensuring they never diminish the honor tied to their ancestor fleet. As centuries passed, the territories within the Galactic Core became firmly claimed, but the leagues and distinct cultures, crafts, and outlooks emerged, defining each league's place within the kin society. The Greater Thurian League, for example, holds fast to the traditional values of trade and prospecting. Its kindreds are known as mercenary and pragmatic, their reputation bolstered by relentless pursuit of wealth and resources. In contrast, the Trans-Hyperion Alliance pushes ever outward, driven by puritanical zeal to enrich the Votann through exploration and conquest. Their kin voyaging across the stars in search of new discoveries or battles. The Kronos hegemony and Gretel dominance, meanwhile, stands as the bulwark of war, their kindreds infamous for mechanized warfare and the quickness which they declare grudges, seemingly at first sight. Okay, a couple kind of cool little examples of what these leagues could kind of be up to.
Yeah, and obviously space dwarf, right? Like the Book of Grudges is very dwarf fantasy thing.
Even just they're all wealth and resources, they're greedy. They want their gold. What are you doing with that much gold? Why are you making a pile?
What are you doing with it?
But there is the Jotan Iridian Combine, renowned throughout the leagues for its mastery of craftsmanship and forge work, shaping metal and technology into forms both beautiful and deadly. The Urani Servitor Regulates are stoic beyond measure, known for their ironclad self-resilience and resolve. The Guhulu Industrial Complex has no equal in the fields of void mining and terraforming, extracting life from dead worlds, while the kindreds of the Typhon Styx Protectorate are unmatched in their fortifications, so holds nigh impenetrable even by the most fearsome foes.
The Jota, those are the monkey.
Votann.
dudes.
No, those are Jakaro.
Damn it! Word.
Come
I
on,
thought I
son.
had a connection.
Literally opposite. Votann are giants.
So these guys have
Oh, yeah.
terraforming abilities, which are pretty cool too. I wonder how often and why they would really use the terraforming.
It's probable. Like with 40K, there's always exceptions to the rule. I imagine there's some dwarves that like to build a hold on a planet.
Sure. Okay.
It's probably rare, but a
Well,
thing you could do.
Yeah, they might be ones that want to build in caverns underneath the planet instead of in space.
Yeah, that's what I would think, anyways. Because why would you terraform if you're just gonna leave?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Or are they thinking long term and they come back to it later? But it's the resources that they take, aren't regrowable.
Well, maybe they are. Maybe some are. I don't think that's the main point. I think the main point is
dead worlds.
Yeah.
Other things.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. Terraforming.
Yeah.
These are but a few of the leagues of Votann that thrive within the galactic core, their numbers and influence stretching far and wide. Yet even the kin, meticulous record keepers as they are, no longer know the true extent of these alliances. The conservative nature of society makes such shifts rare, but it's not unheard of for the kindred to leave one league and join another. Some leagues, once mighty, have crumbled under the weight of time, their power and influence fading until they fragmented into nothingness. Others have shattered by the horrors of war, annihilated entirely by enemies too great to overcome, or severed by warp storms of the Great Rift. But in their place, new leagues rise, sometimes founded in the distant reaches of unexplored space, or else resurrected by those who seek to honor the memory of the league long thought lost to history. The leagues of Votann are ever-changing, their strength and unity forged in the fires of tradition, yet adaptable enough to endure the trials of the galaxy. Yeah, so leagues, they come up, they pop up. It's just, I guess, another way for you to kind of make
Your
a different
own.
style of army, I guess.
Yeah. A lot of 40K is like practical in that like they want to give the player some leeway as to, like, how do you want to paint your guys different, or if you want to create your own hearth or league or whatever.
I like that. I always like giving as
Flexibility.
much room. All the best 40K armies give you the biggest amount of flexibility to do your own lore. When they tie you down too much to, like, for example, Tau, you really can't do too much with your own version of it.
Yep.
They're not big enough.
You're not fighting space wolves because they're across the galaxy.
Yeah,
Like-
so you kind of have to do, like, we're Tau and we operate this way. Whereas these guys, you could just kind of do whatever you want, your own schemes, your own kind of culture.
Yeah, it seems like, beyond the 8 or so truths, there's not much rules and regulations. And, like, you have to not be faulty, I guess. You have to, like, they have their credentials or whatever that you need to meet or whatever. But
that's only within
yeah.
a group, right?
Yeah.
So, like, anyway.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the Ironkin. The Ironkin are sentient machines of the Leagues of Votann and are more than mere automatons. They are self-aware beings forged in the ancient furnaces of the Votann themselves, and they stand as full and equal citizens alongside their flesh and bloodkin counterparts. These mechanical intelligences built to think, feel, and act with the same awareness as their organic cousins are integral to the fabric of kin society. Though crafted by the Votann, the Ironkin are not mere tools or slaves, no echoes of the ancient men of iron who once rose in rebellion against their creators. They are neither subservient nor oppressed, but beings of purpose, filling their roles with precision and dedication. Their consciousness resides in a cerebral unit, a CU, a core of staggering cogitational power. This CU is sheathed in a microfield generator, making it almost impervious to harm. Their mechanical bodies are as unique and personal to them as the flesh frames of their organic kin, designed for specific tasks that span the breadth of the League life. From strategic advisors and Hearthkin shock troopers to mining support units and combat pilots, each Ironkin's form is tailored to meet the needs of society.
So this is the part of the kin that I think makes the least amount of sense. They just have, like, sentient robots running around.
yeah.
Number one, why don't they just make infinite of them? Why do they need the Ironkin, or why do they need the squats at all?
Yeah.
Why not just like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. And why are
'Cause
they in
You just want to press machines.
I want to oppress machines, obviously, but
Yeah.
I mean, like, literally,
Yeah,
like,
practically why?
what is the point of having? I
A
don't know
weaker
why.
version of
It doesn't really make sense. Like, what's the value of each one of these bringing to the table? It seems like one of these should be there and one of these shouldn't. If it was me, this is the one part that really seems like a glaring, like, I don't get it.
Yeah, and these sound like they're not like servitors where they're like these lobotomized, like,
No, they're
Automatons.
They're talking like they're
automatons. Yeah,
people.
Yeah, exactly.
They
can
have
think,
feelings.
They can function. They can.
Why would you make your machines feel things?
Because.
Well, what? How did? So
I like how you couldn't even come
like-
up with an excuse.
like they're talking about, like,
But-
they're talking about, like, what their purposes are. Like, oh, we make this robot, and just like each one of the kin is programmed for a specific purpose. These robots are too. why do they need to be sentient to do that? They should just do their
So,
task.
An interesting thing to note too is that it's actually the machine cores that are making the machines. It's not the flesh and blood kin making
Sure.
the machines. Now, I agree with you. Like,
Now,
why
now-
still doesn't? It's not answered. But it is an interesting thing to note is that it's not
Man, and
the
maybe-
squats making them.
Yeah, maybe that's where eventually we'll get the conflict where it's like now you got some machines that are kind of on the fritz and
Or maybe not on the fritz. Maybe it was the whole point the whole time.
But okay,
Yeah,
but then
yeah, exactly.
why is the Votann making the kin at all?
Because the Votann's going to take over.
But like, if they already have the iron kin, what do they need the?
Yeah, they're gonna slowly phase out the fleshy ones.
How
with,
slowly? It's been thousands
I don't
of
know,
years.
James. I'm just guessing.
And they don't seem like their society is slowly replacing their kin with iron
You
kin.
know what this reminds me of? What's that Will Smith movie where there's like
iRobot?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, how there was that cube thing, right? And they're all just creating all these robots, right? That were kind of sentient, that they could feel and all that, but then they just eventually rebelled. So maybe the next codex down, there might be like a civil war.
Machine
between-
rebellion.
Yeah, machine rebellion
I-
amongst the Votann.
They didn't. Here's the thing: if they did that, I think that'd be great for the lore because it would kind of be like, oh, now they got this internal problem. How do they reconcile that? I don't know how they do that. Seems like they've written that themselves into a corner with this, though.
I kind of just think like you almost word it like every now and again the squats are aware that the Votann go rogue, and you almost always got to keep an eye on them, even though they're all your ancestors.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Stuff, but
Like you have to be reverent to them, but also be suspicious of them.
yeah,
at the same
but because
time.
also at the same time they are just a computer and they might go on the fritz.
Again, if they wrote that in,
Yeah.
great. But
Great.
that's not what they did.
Yeah, and I
So-
don't think they will either. Like that's such
that's
a
not-
big thing to like put a divide in like that, as sweet as it would be.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, when they specifically didn't write it that way to start, that's my problem. I just don't understand this.
Yeah, and also the fact that they're like fully equals. Like at least if they did incorporate an element of like slave class, then you could have like a tension there of like maybe the machines will rise up, or if the slaves are enslaved, or the machines are enslaving the flesh and blood ones, which would make a lot of sense because it would be less efficient.
Yeah,
Like your computer is better than you are at thinking. Let's be honest.
Your computer's better at math than you are. That's
Sure.
about it right now.
Yeah,
anyway.
but if it had a whole robot body that could do anything like the Ironkin, why would you need a fleshy version?
That's my
I'm
problem.
just
The way
saying.
they've written it,
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I would
100%.
love it if they added some more tension to this relationship, because that was the first thing I like. As soon as I heard about the Votann, I was like, and they live with the robots. I'm like, okay, how does that work? Like, and why in 40K would you make it work that way? This seems like the opposite of everything else. But anyway,
It'd be an interesting comparison if you took a Iron King and then the Man of Steel and did a comparison to see like, all right, what are your stats? Which one's better, right?
well, one of them
yeah.
is played by Henry Cavill. So,
no.
oh, not that Man of Steel.
No.
Yeah,
that is a fantastic
Man of
movie.
Iron,
I just
yeah,
want to.
I threw you off.
Yeah,
Man of Iron.
Iron, Man of Gold. Yeah, that would be.
Yeah, they got robots and like human robots.
I often wonder about like what is that like what level are these guys really at? What level those Men of Iron get you that they almost like destroyed the galaxy? I don't think they're quite at that level, the Votann, but maybe.
Or
Yeah.
maybe, yeah.
I think this, like I said, I wish they would do a little bit different of a storyline with them on this point, but
Right. Despite their mechanical nature, the Ironkin are not mere machines to be discarded when damaged. Like any kin, their bodies require repair, not replacement. Their sense of identity is deeply tied to their physical forms. Yet even if their body is shattered, the Ironkin can endure as a CU alone, entering a dormant state while broadcasting an emergency beacon across all frequencies, calling for aid from any League forces within range. The bond between an Ironkin and its body is a sacred one, much like the kin and their ancestors' traditions. So yeah, like it's more like you don't just willy-nilly upgrade yourself as a robot. Like they are actually attached to the body that they have.
Weird.
Yeah.
I've heard that that's an aspect of AI programming even now that we're trying to wrestle with, the idea that the body is intrinsic to intelligence in some way. Like you can't have
A sense of
identity.
self.
You can't have identity without a physical body. Cause like if you put a whole bunch of AI programs in one brain, in one computer, is none of them really get identified with that body then, and
Yeah.
then it personnel into which one, where does one end and the other begin? They're all using the same hardware.
Or the reverse is for you to think about a disembodied self is hard for us to do, right? Like, can you picture your brain, not even in a brain, but like a floating consciousness, right? Like, it's hard for us to
people
think that
astral
way.
project all the time.
It's
So
true.
Oh,
It's true. I did
totally. Yeah.
last week.
Yeah.
you mock, but I don't.
I'm going to astral project myself through your
I'm at,
It's to your face.
Though ironkin mimic the emotions and social behaviors of their organic kin with uncanny accuracy, they do not truly experience these feelings as biological creatures do. Their pride, courage, camaraderie, and empathy are carefully calculated facsimiles optimized to blend seamlessly into kin society. It is in their nature to find a role, to understand that niche best serves the greater whole, and to fulfill that purpose to the utmost. Rarely do they aspire to leadership or personal ambition, such desires are foreign to their logical minds. Their place is in service, not subjugation, standing shoulder to shoulder with the kin, bound by duty, not by need. So that the communist element, you have like the hyper-capitalist kin, and then you have the communist iron kin, who are like devoid of self and function solely for the greater good or the greater whole. And eventually their two ideologies will clash.
it is weird that it's phrased there, that they just pretend to feel things. That makes it sound more sinister.
Sounds like a communist.
I almost, I almost feel like, okay, so the Votann, like, it's made up of all the ancestors, all the
collective
memories turned digital. So then, like, maybe the Votann are making the Ironkin as like a weird way to try to make its physical body for itself, because where they were once these physical beings, now it's like they've been put into this machine that's been taken away from them. But like the collective still wishes it had a body. You know, if you take my body away, I still wish I had a body.
Sure.
I think
so then
you're projecting that into the
I could be,
story. Yeah.
Sure.
Dude, what else are we doing here?
Right.
That's all.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm just saying, like, I think it's cool. It's a cool angle, but like,
Yeah, there's nothing there that
says that
anything like that. Like,
explicitly. Yeah.
But you know, that's kind of what I'm going to look at it from now on.
From that perspective.
From that, like, yeah, okay, you know, if you were a human at one point and then you got put into a machine, and then you're not fully aware of yourself, but there's a part of you that wants to be human again, so you make this weird body, and then you
Try to put yourself in it.
Yeah. But like I said, that's just in my head. So.
I just think it's weird that it's, like you said, like they're facsimiles of, they're intentionally, it's like dealing with a sociopath that's like reading your behaviors and like, oh, I will laugh when you laugh. It's very like calculated, right?
Yeah.
But like, to what end? Why are they pretending? I don't get
I think it's just like a facsimile, man. It's like they kind of have this collective thing, and they don't fully they can't fully draw exact experiences out. So they go for the bigger things that they can kind of.
This is humor. This is what I would laugh at.
Yeah, exactly.
They
don't know
exactly.
They don't know why they're laughing, but they know that they should. They know that they would have maybe.
Yeah, they see all the other kin laughing, so now is when it's socially acceptable to do so.
Yeah. But yeah, odd.
On the battlefield, the Ironkin fight as Hearthkin, warriors of iron and code. They accompany the Brokir, Iron Masters, working alongside the non-sentient cog robots, their hands skilled in both technical support and combat. When battle turns grim and their organic kin falter, the Ironkin rise to the occasion, fighting with a cold, calculated resolve that belies their mechanical nature. They may not feel fear or anger as the kin do, but they know the value of a hard-fought battle, and they understand the stakes. In the end, they are as much a part of the kin as any who share their blood, and the iron hearts beat in unison with the hearth fires of the Leagues of Votann. Hearts of Iron. Good game.
Yeah, the Ironkin. That's something that we'll keep our eye on as this all develops, because we've probably only read through like half of Votann stuff realistically at this point. So you know, maybe we'll get some more little details on why that always works, or how that works, why that works, why did that start even,
or was it just poorly thought out and poorly written?
Sure. But if yeah, you have the ability to just clone infinitely, and then you make robots
That are also the same, but
It's
better.
It's very Attack of the Clones, you know. You got clones and then droids, right? So
what are they
We'll
trying
fight
to
each other.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the Hernkin. The Hernkin. Maybe these are the Swedish ones. The Hernkin are the brave souls who venture into the uncharted realms of the void, serving as the League of Votann's explorers, scouts, prospectors, and pioneers. For the kin, the sight of a blank space on their star charts is not something to be ignored. It is a challenge, a mystery that demands to be unraveled. The desire to uncover these secrets of the void, to discover riches hidden among the stars, and to ensure that no hidden threats lurk in the darkness is woven deep into the fabric of their very being. The Hernkin are the furthest traveled among their kind. Their sturdy boots have been preserved in ancient dust, forgotten on forgotten moons, and their ships have skimmed over the scorched plains and through the savage junks of worlds untouched by kin. For solar decades, bands of Hernkin leave their kindreds behind, disappearing into the blackness beyond the farthest trade routes or braving the regions long abandoned or declared forbidden. Their absence is not a sign of exile or rebellion, as it might be in other cultures, but one of great honor. To become one of the Hernkin is to earn a place of high regard within the leagues of Votann. These guys are kind of like rogue traders.
I picture them as Elder Rangers.
closer
Yeah.
to that almost. But rogue trade, like rogue traders would probably be almost closer to like a guild member almost, who are actively.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah,
because of the commerce element.
Yeah. But
Sure.
they're
Sorry,
all
you're
traders.
wrong again, James.
Nothing
James
stopping
complains.
the Hernkin from trading his sturdy pair of boots for a nice laser repulsor.
Listen, I haven't got any James complaints this week,
So
so
we haven't even chilled for it yet.
so I'm flawless, and no one thinks I'm wrong. They think you're wrong. Their nomadic existence in the void leads the Hernkin to witness awe-inspiring sights, uncover ancient secrets, and face countless dangers. Each adventure enriches them, and when they return to their kindred and ancestors, they carry with them a wealth of hard-earned experience. Yet the Hernkin's service to the Votann goes far beyond personal exploration. These intrepid scouts are often the first to identify looming threats, a star on the verge of supernova, a hidden webway portal used by the Dakari raiders, an approaching Orc-Wa, or even stranger, darker perils. They also discover potential trade partners, chart safe void routes, and locate valuable resources for future kindred settlements. Without their relentless efforts, the kindred or the leagues of Votann would be blind to the opportunities and dangers of the galaxy. So they're scouts.
Yeah.
They're going out there.
I like
checking
that
it
they
out.
can identify threats that aren't just other factions. Like a star going supernova would be a threat, like environmental threats too.
Sure.
Yeah.
And even like, we're talking about the void and the fleet and just going through. Like, you want these guys going and making sure you plan that perfect course. Like, 100 years ago, there might have been something there, but now you want these guys to go ahead and scout, make sure
There's no hazards exactly. You don't waste all that time and energy getting somewhere and it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah, somebody else took it already.
Someone took the planet.
That happens, man.
It does happen in
The Dark
40K.
Eldar took the planet.
They took it into their
They stole it from us.
and then they create a grudge against the Dark Eldar forever.
The life of a Hernkin is not without great personal sacrifice. These heroes endure long stretches away from their families and homes and are at very real risk of never returning from their journeys. Far from League space, should disaster strike and a band of Hernkin get wiped out, their kin may never know their fate. Yet the willingness to take these risks, to venture so far from the safety of their holds, speaks volumes of the Hernkin's unyielding character and the kin's collective will to survive against all odds. It is their enduring loyalty to their fellow explorers that keeps them going. Their pioneering bands become a second family in the lonely reaches of space. Among the leagues, the Trans-Hyperion Alliance Hernkin are known as some of the most fearless and far-traveled. These pioneers push the boundaries of what is known, driven by a relentless desire to expand the wealth and knowledge of the Votann. The leagues ensure that their Hernkin are equipped with the finest gear available. The guilds provide them with advanced scout ships, piloted by void masters as skilled as they are brave, and rugged exploration vehicles that can traverse even the most hazardous alien environment. Their void armor is enviro hardened to withstand harsh conditions, and they are armed with an impressive arsenal of weapons, both for personal defense and mounted on their vehicles. Energy field generators, survival gear, and panspectral scanners accompany them, ensuring they are prepared for any threat they may encounter.
It's cool. I know these guys are more like combat oriented in the way that they're being described right now, but it's just also cool to see them as like, let's say you live on a settled world and they arrive. They're like the first precursors that will arrive to your settlement and like almost like prospecting, right? Like, yeah.
And you know what's kind of interesting too about them is like they are human. They're abhumans. So like they might, these guys might be going to Imperial World,
right? Exactly, like your
Fringe Worlds and stuff, and like send that up. Like,
yeah, and then they like start, showing up and investigating and like, hey, do you have anything valuable? You want to trade? Blah, blah blah. We got a bigger fleet coming, but yeah, there's room there to like write some cool stories or have a cool war band, like a small little war band force that you can just build and like kill team, right?
Are Hernkin? Do they have models? Are they the ones with the jackets?
Yeah, and the not motorbikes, but like hover bikes. Or
right.
Pretty sure.
But they don't have to.
They don't have to. Sure.
Yeah.
No.
I think the Trans-Hyperion is a playoff of like Trans-Siberian, like that giant railroad, and also like that metal band too. So when everybody was saying that, I'm thinking like, oh, these guys like are kind of like
Arctic
the
explorers.
noise marines of like the League of Votann.
I don't know how you connected those dots, Paul.
It's Trans-Hyperion, Trans-Siberian.
I don't think that was their inspiration.
Hard to say. We'll ask. We'll look into it.
We'll look into it.
The Hernkin's panspectral scanners are amongst their most valuable tools. Capable of detecting a vast range of energy spectra, these devices can penetrate solid matter and even scan across multidimensional wavelengths. Whether identifying hidden foes or locating rich deposits of valuable resources, the scanners give the Hernkin an unparalleled advantage. When a significant discovery is made, the Hernkin deploy a powerful claim beacon, transmitting multispectral signals through a network of relay satellites back to League space. It's at moments like these that the mighty Chthonian mining guilds are stirred into action, ready to descend upon the newfound riches.
They're almost like Tyranids.
Yeah. That little technology bit that they have, that panspectral thing that can like read different
everything can read everything.
I think that's comes from like the Demiurge. They used to have something like that. I'm looking for it right now. They had something very similar to that. Keep reading it. If I find it, I'll let you know.
In the end, Hernkin are the vanguard of the Kin Society, bold, loyal, and unrelenting in their quest to push the boundaries of the known universe. They are torchbearers of discovery, lighting the way for their people with every new world they explore and every new peril they face.
Say it. Say the line.
To go where no kin have gone before.
There you go.
It's the Star Trek theme.
You can't sing that. We just got copy struck.
No.
Ah!
Not again.
Not again.
But I didn't even mention the war in a foreign land.
We love war.
You just have to say the right CAA sponsored war. That's all.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of the Chthonian mining guilds.
The Chthonian mine? I love that word. Chthonian.
Yeah. Somebody messaged me on the Discord and said that just means like cavernous.
It's underground.
Underground.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with like the
Chthon, the planet Horus.
Horus. Yeah. Exactly.
Also the old gods. That's all I will say.
What about them? Say more. I want you to say more.
No.
Tell me.
It's the people we worship. Well, I went to the whole rant. Never mind. The old Chthonic gods.
Well,
you guys don't
the
worship
Chthonic
the
mining guild. These guys embody the indomitable will and relentless drive of the kin, undertaking the vast majority of the Leagues of Votann's mining and resource extraction operations. Fiercely determined and unyielding, the Chthonians show no hesitation in venturing into the most extreme and inhospitable environments known to the galaxy, all in the name of securing resources for their people.
What a noble goal, those Chthonian mining guilds.
You seem like the Deep Rock Galactic guys. Like I just like
like these are like the
they're
hardcore
going in.
miners.
Yeah.
You know?
BlackRock.
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 I love those guys.
Let's make it a little more sinister, guys.
Black Rock Kinsmen.
Okay, hold on. Wait a minute. You took a turn. We didn't like it.
Now we're getting struck.
So those fearless guys, these miners, think nothing of braving deadly gravity maelstroms, navigating through meteor collision fields, or enduring the crushing depths of irradiated nebula. They descend into magma caverns where temperatures soar to unimaginable levels, and they mine in oceanic trenches where the pressure would even crush lesser beings. The kin of the Chthonian guilds have survived the fringes of black holes with their gravity twisting and gnawing at reality itself, and explore the nightmarish, warp-tainted space hulks adrift in the void. For Chthonians, no environment is too hostile and no challenge is too great. It is a point of pride that they brave these hazards unflinchingly. You know, when I see models like on Instagram or what people have done, I love when they've kind of taken an aquatic take on some of their units and like made them actually like seaborne or seafaring.
You know what would be hella baller? You know that vehicle they have where it's like the big three-wheeled.
Sure.
I don't even know what it's called. It's a big
Tricycle?
block. Yeah.
It's called like
No.
a Battle Fortress or something.
Yeah, that huge one. What if you put it on a base and the whole thing was just a resin block and you and you made the whole thing underwater and then there's waves on top?
Driving,
It was all
Yeah.
underwater.
Yeah, that'd be so hardcore.
You encase all your models in resin, so they're all like underwater.
Yeah, they're all
Like,
under.
like that. Right here's my
That would be
It weighs
awesome.
like 3 tons.
That would be awesome.
And he's on the board, it just breaks.
Okay, legitimately, if I ever do it, if I ever
That's
get
cool.
Votann,
Votann.
I'm making them all underwater.
I'm
Would
holding
would
you to
do
that.
like go as far as doing like the Big Daddy type vibe with like the
Diver helmets.
diver,
and-
Oh.
you know?
That would be
He's
so
doing it.
sweet.
Now he's doing it.
Yeah.
That would be so much resin.
There's a lot of good stuff on the ocean too. So.
I know, it's so underutilized,
Very
man.
Yeah,
I
you
have
could, like-
a whole rant on this.
You could have like little like seaweed as they're driving through it, like floating up. Oh,
James, get to work.
I might just like buy a couple models or
Just buy, like,
something.
their-
There's no
like
such
a
thing as
start-
buying a couple.
I might like get like a
Don't lie to me.
character or two and just
Don't
like
lie to me.
I have to. That would be so. I'd have to
You'll get
perfect
them
my
all.
technique. Let me like get it right first, okay?
And then
But-
you'll buy the
Fair,
rest.
fair.
But I legit that if I ever get Votann, that's
That's what you
totally
do.
what I want to do.
Man,
That's
with all
awesome.
with all the 3D printed stuff, man, there's no way there's not sweet like drills. Like think. Crazy
Oh, yeah, I've
drill
seen it.
arms and like all that.
The
kind of
diver
stuff.
helmets,
Diver
and
helmets,
all of it.
that great stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I need to convert them too much. I just mean like putting them underwater would be awesome.
And then they're just like glug glug.
No, they have helmets.
Oh, okay.
You idiot.
I'm not putting the guys with no helmets.
That's
in.
just about
10 feet tall.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But their determination does not end with just natural dangers. The Chthonians apply the same uncompromising attitude to living or sentient threats. They encounter hostile aliens, Xenos predators, and even rival starfaring empires, civilizations that may have what appear to be legitimate claims to the resources the Chthonians desire. In the eyes of the Chthonian surveyor, however, assets such as plasma storage plants, Promethean stockpiles, or even operational ore barges are simply ripe for the taking. To them, these are nothing more than rich veins of ore waiting to be claimed, regardless of their current owners. It's piracy.
Yep.
They're
Oh
pirates.
no, a new theme just emerged. Pirate dwarves. Okay, you make your deep diving dwarves, I'll make the surface riding pirate dwarves.
Yar kinsmen.
You could do the ones that are on the bikes, like on top of the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, they're the pirates, and you give them
Or,
eye patches and,
You know,
and
you
like
get
the
some of
hats.
those AOS airship ones. Take off the blimp part. Now you got some
A
sweet
boat.
boats.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh my
It's all coming
gosh.
together.
All coming together.
I'm gonna go bankrupt. Please donate to our Patreon so we can make
Yeah.
these dreams a reality.
As some guy in the chat said, did a D&D campaign with sea dwarfs. That sounds similar. All sorts of steampunk stuff and airlocks to let them mine at the bottom of the sea. Oh,
That's legit.
Yeah.
Legit, for sure. Okay, so new life goals: become a deep sea miner.
Okay, we have ocean tyranids you can make, which
Yeah.
like cool fins and stuff. We have pirate dwarves. We have pirate orcs. We have deep diving dwarves.
Perfect.
There's a very cool
DDD, deep dive doors.
I'm a DDD.
I don't know.
I'm a
if I
deep
like
diving
that.
dwarf.
Triple D.
There's a very cool underwater Nurgle army that some guys made.
Chaos would be a really cool, like, yeah.
They have very strong Pirates of the Caribbean
Davy
tentacle-beard.
Jones.
Yeah, Davy Jones kind of feel. They're very
Only Bob from Hobby Happy Hour. He
has those?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's his army.
Yeah, those are sick. I love that.
Sweet.
And then
Awesome.
Aquamarines would be my Space Marine faction.
The Aquamarine.
Yeah. I'm doing it. Doing it.
Sounds like
Okay.
a
It's
not-
not, it's not gay if it's with a fish. Okay?
I don't know what that is, but slappy. No, there's some sweet, like we talked about this idea before, and where you take like old Chaos Space Marine backpacks. We're talking like 20-year-old ones where they have
Yeah, the
really
big long
fins,
vents.
yeah, yeah, and you use them as like underwater thruster packs.
Yeah.
directional packs,
And you have
yeah.
torpedo bolters.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Man, I've been working on this for years in my mind.
Well, like the Phobos Marines have those like grapple launchers that you could use.
Get out of here. Get out of here, Jim.
Harpoon the whale.
That's literally what
Okay,
we're talking about.
fine. I'll
Get
accept
outta
it. I just didn't want to incorporate Primaris. These have to be old school Marines. But I will give them the hook guns. No, that's sweet. Okay, Water World. We're doing it.
Yeah, next episode, some
Yeah.
type of water one, I think.
The first step is always trade, for war is wasteful. But if diplomacy fails, violent acquisition is seen as the next natural step. The Chthonian creed is clear: luck has, need keeps, toil earns. In the eyes of the kin, those who want something the most, who are willing to fight the hardest for it, are the ones who deserve to possess it. If the king claims something by conquest, then it is theirs by right.
I love that. Right, man. Yeah,
They're pirates.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
Yar.
It's a nice thing you got over
It's a nice house, James. It'd be a shame if someone took it from you.
Real shame.
A lot of resources here. No, not all kin miners join the Chthonian Guild. Across League space, hundreds of unaffiliated asteroid miners and void harvesting rigs operate independently. But for most miners, joining the prestigious Chthonian Mining Guild offers a distinct advantage. The guild control formidable fleets of void ships, ruggedly fortified and designed to withstand the fierce competition for the richest claims. They also cover their members' cutting-edge equipment and provide extensive cybernetic augmentations, ensuring they are well prepared as possible for their hazardous work.
So often I am the one defending Games Workshop from this particular attack, but I'll offer it this time. I feel like this is a little too like Happy Hammer.
It is.
Yeah.
The more we read, like everything seems to work up together, get along.
It's
You got
like
robots and semi-humans working hand in hand in harmony. Everyone's happy.
yeah, and I just feel they provide their guys. No, you don't provide. You make like all the frontline guys are gonna have to pay for those things, and they're never gonna be able to pay them off because they're being ripped off by the people.
Almost
at
like
the top.
indentured servitude. Like, yeah.
You're like, oh, you need a mining laser to get the aura? Well, you're gonna pay me for that, and then that'll come. It's like, did you ever? There was a company, I won't slander them because they might sue me, but there was like a local company that they did like lawn maintenance in the city, and they would like, yeah, you can like you do this job, you get to keep a good chunk of the money that you make, but you'd have to rent the equipment from the company, and like in order to do it, you'd have to do so much work in order to just pay off the machines.
Yeah,
you're
it's
renting.
literally like indentured servitude.
Yeah, no. So like this is like that's how that should work. They aren't providing you the equipment. That's just too Happy Hammer. I usually defend 40K because I feel like it's not as true as people make it out to be that everything's Happy Hammer. However, this is quite Happy Hammer here. Anyway,
Works in harmony very well.
Yeah.
yes, everyone's getting along in
Flip
the
side,
league.
I think internally, yes, I agree, but externally, they do have that like they don't care. They're going to take your stuff, and by rights they think it's theirs, which can be grimdark, right? Like
Short king's gonna short king, I guess.
right, yeah. They're just a bunch of short kings.
I don't know. I feel yes, that's the easy way of getting out of it for the Lord.
Sure.
Because that's like, well, obviously, otherwise they're not going to fight anybody. And why are they an army?
The biggest thing they're lacking is that internal tension. I 100% agree, right? Like every faction has an excuse to fight itself.
Like even like Eldar have Dark Eldar. You know, everyone's got some.
Yeah, the Imperium, you have all these like sub factions that could theoretically kill each other, right? Like
or
there's that
even
tension.
Eldar could fight Eldar for like any number of reasons.
Yeah.
There's no, you don't even need to get the Dark Eldar involved. Like,
Yeah.
Everyone has those like, our interests might not align with yours, and
Internal
I'm sure
tension.
you could say this league is fighting this league, and I'm sure you like have that, but it doesn't feels like
It just seems like it goes against one of their truths.
Yeah.
Like war is waste. Man.
Yeah. Yeah, like,
why would
how do you
against your own
reconcile it?
people? Even if there's a huge profit at the end, it's never worth your own people.
because
Well,
that you would measure your
I
profit
think-
for all of you.
I think there is a
Yeah.
calculus there, and like
To kill
I
your own,
retract.
though? Yeah,
No, I
sure.
retract my statement of like they're not communists; they're like hyper capitalists. Where like, yeah, they'll cut your throat to take your stuff, and if they're casual, again, they could put a price on a dwarf life and be like, okay, no resource is worth it until we hit this threshold, and then it's worth it. So let's say it's like 10,000 dwarf dollars, right? Like that, right? And that again, like that lends itself to that darkness of like, okay, they're putting literal prices on quote unquote human life. Where they're like, once we hit this profit threshold, totally worth it. Let's throw everyone in the meat grinder.
I agree, but you're reading that into the lore. That's not there.
Oh, you hit me with the same accusation I threw at Mark.
Gotcha.
I don't like that. Is that what I sound like?
Am I the baddie?
Actually,
You're 100% right. I agree with you. I am reading that into there, and I prefer it that way.
Now, for those who joined the Chthonian Guild, among the Chthonians, there is a culture of rivalry, often cheerful, but always competitive, just like that. Regarding the scars and augmentations they collect over the course of their work. The toughest of these miners earn the nickname Luggers, a title reserved for those who can carry the heaviest loads. And of course,
You get called the lugger a lot, don't you? Paul?
oh, squad lugger. Yeah, I need some more information on that.
after hours.
Oh, Lorehammer after dark.
That's for the premium level. Of,
Yeah.
Subscribers, yeah. Join Patreon, find out.
Woo.
So when the League of Votann refers to mining, they do so with characteristic understatements. The operations carried out by the Chthonian guilds are nothing short of technologically staggering. Entire planets are torn apart as the kin engage in magma extraction and tectonic delving, toppling mountain ranges.
Don't you hate it when you run out of magma?
More magma, guys. Oh, your forges.
I got it right. Can't you just heat up some new
Yeah.
magma?
Honestly, a nuclear reactor would be more efficient than extracting lava
Listen,
from a
magma
planet.
doesn't
What is
grow
the-
on trees, okay? You need to go out and get it.
You could literally turn a tree into magma. Nah, maybe not a tree,
No.
but you could turn like a rock into magma. So like,
But the energy you put into it, just, okay, whatever. Not
you
doing
gotta
it.
extract that magma, okay?
Stars themselves were dimmed by the work of Chthonian stellar siphons, which drained celestial bodies of their energy and matter. Even the cosmic phenomena that humanity fears with superstitious dread are nothing more than another resource to be processed by the kin through methods such as atom delving and trans-etheric resubstantiation. Holy cow.
Yeah.
These guys are like fearless. That's what I love about them. Like, there's nothing that just really seems to
Everything can be mined.
Yeah.
Even magma.
They're looking into other dimensions
To
try
mine.
find stuff.
Yeah.
They're mining everything. It's so good.
I wonder what the relationship with the Necron is. Can they steal
They mine
Necron?
Necron.
Right, that's what my
Living
point.
metal.
Can
Yeah,
they mine
it's like-
warp? Like, okay, there's something. Have they looked into chaos to see how they can use it for?
Mining warpstone.
Yeah, mining
Warp
warp
dust.
yeah,
Warp dust.
Yeah, good old warp dust.
the Chthonians do not shy away from harvesting resources in the midst of active war zones. In fact, many conflicts are sparked by the Chthonian guild's aggressive efforts to claim what they see as rightfully theirs. Their mining fleets are equipped with temporary defensive structures, atmospheric engines, and energy field dome generators, all deployed to protect their operations. Heavily armored harvester plants extract resources even as the battle rages among them. The Chthon, that's so cool.
Yeah, you can't even wait. Like, we got a mine.
That's cool because it's like world ending for the people that live there. They're like fighting like for their lives, and they don't care. They're extracting.
It's kind of like an Avatar, like the first one, where they're just like, the native pop is just fighting and trying to figure out a way to infiltrate, but they're just like, we don't care. Let's just mine,
Strip the planet.
Yeah, to get that unobtainium.
Just about mining warp stuff. Isn't soulstones Wraithbone is like solidified warp energy?
Yeah, but you need a psyker to create it.
But you don't need a psyker to hit it with a pickaxe.
Yeah, but can you do anything with it without also being like a psychic manipulator of it, right? Like,
well, they could use their technology
to somehow.
Yeah, you
to
send
magnify.
like electric ripples through the wraith.
Everything can be mined.
Atomic electric ripples.
You can't just say science words and make it a thing.
Can you imagine like a Chthonian fleet just going to like an elder craft world and it's
start drilling it.
With your planet.
Everything can be mined. That is my mantra. That should be the next
that
truth.
should be one of their truths.
Yeah.
The 4 crystal farseers are being mined.
Yeah.
Turn into crystals.
Tink, 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 tink. Just little pickaxes, just breaking chunks off of them. Now we're getting grimdark. Now I'm liking it.
There we go. Yeah, they're showing their true selves here. The Chthonians themselves fight alongside the Hearthkin and the Hernkin, acting as sappers, combat engineers, and even line breakers should the need arise. The Chthonian berserks, in particular, relish the chaos of battle, wielding their concussion mauls and plasma axes with brutal efficiency. These miners turn warriors, smash and bludgeon their way through foes, competing with one another to prove who is the toughest, who can carry the most, and who claim the title of the ultimate lugger.
What an honor!
Their ferocity in battle is matched only by the determination to extract every last resource, no matter what the cost.
Yeah, so you play video games, and when you play a new video game, you literally pick up everything. You're like, oh, dirt! And you yeah, that's what these guys are like, but for life.
Forever.
Yeah.
For the Chthonian Mining Guild, every challenge is an opportunity. Every hazard, whether natural or sentient, is just another obstacle to overcome in their relentless pursuit of resources. Their drive to conquer the most inhospitable environments and claim what others fear to touch is what defines them and what makes them the most formidable and feared miners in the galaxy.
Man. Cool. Well, that's the end of our notes. Man, I learned so much more. There's so much stuff in here that I love. And then there's only a couple small bits I don't like the Ironkin. Yeah, you raised a good point. Like, why? Why do we have both? Why not just one or the other?
Or why isn't there like explicit tension between them?
Yeah. Or like limitations on one. Why are the Ironkin? They're better, it sounds like, than the regular guys. So yeah, just
and why is there no internal conflict?
Yeah.
Like, why do they get along so well?
Yeah, everyone. But like, man, there's so much other cool stuff. Like these mining guilds, the Chthonian mining guilds, are very cool. They just go and they just want it all. They want every resource on that planet.
If you were to like make a berserker more lore accurate, you just have to like attach bags to him all over the place. He's just
carrying whatever he can grab.
Yeah.
He's just carrying a bunch of crap.
That's kind of cool though, because it gives like an element of like raiders, right? Like kicks in the door of your hab block and he just starts taking stuff. It's just like,
why do you even want my dishwasher?
Yeah.
So I can lug it.
I will be the biggest lugger.
I don't even want it for any purpose. I just want to love it.
Love it.
What are the highlights for you guys of this kind of bit of Votann?
You go first.
I was gonna say I like the take anything, mine anywhere aspect. I think that's my favorite part about this aspect. Just the idea that you're gonna go and start mining in the middle of a battlefield, or you're just gonna be like, oh, there's a ship there that's got a whole bunch of ore in it. We're just gonna take it. I like that aspect. The idea of them mining in Eldercraft World also is hilarious. So
yeah, and like if the resource hasn't been used, it's free for the taking. It's
Yeah.
Well,
Or even if it is, yeah, they just don't care. They're like, if I can take it, it's mine.
Mine.
Those are the rules.
Environmentally friendly.
Yeah,
race.
I like that. I like that. Like hyper, like I said, like Victorian era. Like they just don't care. They just
take it all.
Yeah.
Put it in their ships.
and take off.
Yeah.
That's my highlight.
Yeah. Other things I kind of like about them, we didn't talk too much about the Votann necessarily in this one and how the AI operates. I think there is a lot of information on that, but I think we're gonna go in a different direction the next couple episodes before we come back to them. But honestly, I think so far pretty enjoyable. I briefly skimmed them when they first came out, and I wasn't the biggest fan. But I really just read, okay, dwarves and AI, and I just wasn't quite into it. But it's cool how they've done some of it for sure.
Mm-hmm. I like the respect they have for the void, right? And just that whole survival aspect for it, right? And it's like they don't worship it, but it's venerated, right? They know like the life isn't. I think like a lot of factions in the Warhammer universe think life is cheap, right? And it appears that at least among the League of Votann, they value their own lives, right? And they understand life is not cheap, and it needs to be protected and sacred.
Yeah, like even their bodies, if they get hurt, they fix somewhere like a guardsman. Well, you got your retirement.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's definitely a cool aspect of them for sure.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm totally sold on them yet, but they're better than I thought they were. But I don't know that. I think there's some big plot holes, like the whole Ironkin thing, that make them not fully fleshed, not fully thought out.
Yeah,
and that's what concerns me. Is like they're like, yeah, it's almost 40K, but just missing a few key elements.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll introduce them. Maybe they're sitting on them to do big reveal later. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think probably when the book comes out, there'll
might
probably be a little bit more.
Then you can actually write like a story, and not just like a codex. So.
Yeah, and maybe some stuff will be revealed there. Because you never know, like stuff can be written in a codex, but then when it like gets put into a story, you can kind of see it played out a little bit more and see if like, oh yeah, they say they all get along, but like, do they really? Maybe there's more conflict internally.
My only worry with that is that, and we've done a lot of it this episode, is where we read into it the intentions. And I keep reminding myself that this is the era that also gave us Primaris Marines. It also gave us like Necron and Blood Angels teaming up. Like that just gave us so many missteps that I'm like, this reeks of current 40K.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm hoping to be pleasantly surprised, but are we projecting too much
of our cool ideas into
it?
Yeah, because I guess we've come up with a lot. We're like, oh, fucking Ahab the dwarf,
white whale, white
whale,
tyrannid.
Yeah,
that's still awesome.
James is over here building whole armies based off of his own
dude. I can incorporate that into my water. They could be like their whole thing is they hunt
aquatic tyrannids.
Oh
yeah, man.
And they're all white.
Now you have to build a whole Tyrannid army.
Well, yeah, it was cool. I learned a lot. We'll see where it goes. Any other closing thoughts on them before we jump to the next little part of the show? Okay. Well.
Diggy hole.
I don't think we're going to take any callers this time. We started a little later, and we still have to do a dad hammer, and it's not a Friday night; it's a Sunday, so no callers this time. But hey, shoot me a private message and we'll hop on a phone. Hi, I'm Mark, and you can talk like that. Hey, if you want to listen to Lorehammer Listener Lore, it's a podcast I do. I got almost 200 short stories out on just listener submitted short story 40K stuff. So they're pretty cool. Lots of great stuff in there. There's some in there that are just like, I recommend, I think it's number 50, Yggdrasil. And it's about this like
a tree
Exodite world that has a tree on it that grows so big that the tree can grow to other planets essentially, so that it connects a star system with this tree. of Exodites. It's pretty cool. Go listen to it. Episode 50.
I'm not going to explain it all
I'm
here.
not gonna do it. Lorehammer, listen, lore. Go check it out.
Very cool. Yeah, if you like my work, I also have another podcast with Jordan. If you miss his sultry voice,
We do.
Star Wars. So if you're interested in Star Wars content, go check us out over there. Help our numbers, help us grow, and spread the love.
If you have any problems with anything that you heard in this podcast, send your complaints to jamescomplaints@gmail.com.
Free week.
I got none, so that means everything was perfect, and you agree with everything I say.
That sounds like a challenge to me.
100% canon out of James'
Yes.
mouth all the time.
If you
His
didn't
word
come up,
is law.
that's right. That's right.
Paul, do you have anything that you do on the side as like a kind of hobby thing that you want to shout out?
Not at the moment, except
Like an Instagram channel or page? Like you do a bunch of cool artwork on your Instagram.
yeah, I guess so. You could check out Runny Rabbits. That is just a little page I have that I just throw up art when I feel like it. And I've been dabbling into some Warhammer art. I haven't posted it because I'm shy.
No, but you
One
got,
day it'll show up.
you got a very cool style. I do like your
Thank
style. It's colorful always, and like, yeah, I do enjoy it. Go check it out. Well, that's the show. We'll check out like Patreon. Go give us $1 if you want.
Support these guys.
Support the guys. We all have families, so if you want to keep Warhammer around, you gotta feed our families essentially. So.
And explain to our wives why we're doing this and
Yeah,
taking
it's
time
tough
away
to
from our
tell
children.
women. Yeah, hey, I'm gonna go to my friend's basement and talk about plastic men. So give us $1. It's
Make us
easier.
justify it to them.
We do have a bunch of new Patrons joiners this week. Richard, you want to read them away?
Yeah. Thank you to Rafa, Nick, BB Gun Bandit, Bartolomej, Daniel, and Andrew. Join the Imperial Tithe, and your bodies will be well broken on the battlefield.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving your souls to the Emperor.
Yeah. If you're on the Discord, shoot me a message, and I'll give you like a green tag for your service to the Imperial Tide. Well, my friends, that's this episode. What do we want to do the next one? We've tossed out a couple ideas. We've tossed out Vashtar a couple times now. We've tossed out the Necron King. What's that guy called?
Silent King.
Silent King. Or, man, do we want to do like an aquatic world episode next? And we just try to talk about all that kind of cool shit. Underwater battles. I don't know. Hard to say. Shoot me a message. What do you guys want? I live to serve, so tell me what you want me to do. And as long as it's not Space Marines, I'll do it for you.
Black Templar too.
No Space Marines. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode of Warhammer. Adios.
See ya.
See ya.